seems like some sort of subliminal switch.
The playoffs are very different than the regular season.
The most uncomfortable thing ever.
If it could go right, it did go right.
If it wasn't for Lamar Hunt, Philip Anschutz, and Robert Kraft, this league would not be here.
Hey folks, good evening. My name is Scott Scherson. Alongside me is Mr. Christian Smith and of course Mr. Davi as well. And welcome to Inside the Call. This is Stream Punk Soccer, and joining us today, now over 400 games covered for the New York City Football Club, a longtime play-by-play man for them, also heavily involved in Jersey sports as well, and talking about the NYCFC season and everything we can come to expect in 2026, Mr. Glenn Crooks. Sir, how the heck are you?
Boys, what's happening? Happy to be on. Love talking footy, so any way you want to go with this, I'll be willing to join in.
Any way you want it. That's all right. There we go. By the way, in this case, also, I had a couple questions from the fans, easy ones to basically have your breakdown and your opinion on as well. So let's start off right out of the gate. Thanks again for handling everything with Coachella. I know that basically you had to suffer with California weather while we had snow and 18 degrees over here. So thank you for the sacrifice. But talk about the team in the preseason.
Well, it was. It's hard not to talk about where I was, but when I called home to my wife, we didn't talk much about the weather. Let's put it that way. I left at 10 below wind chill and arrived at mid 70s. So it was it was nice. Preseason, this event, first of all, it's my third time there, and it's really I think it's a great event for MLS teams. Very costly. You know, that part of the country is. They spare no expense in their how they list their prices in the restaurants and everything else, housing, all that. But it's just so there's 12 MLS teams there. The training facilities are gorgeous, and then you have this unbelievable background of the mountains. The scenery is just awesome. So you're training in this environment, and then you're competing against other MLS teams, and everybody seems to be in somewhat of the same rhythm. They'll come in and they'll play there. So there's 3 games. The first game, it'll be maybe 60 minutes with the starters, and then the reserves come in, however you want to phrase that. Then the second game, New York City, for instance, they rotated 11 players, 11 changes. So, and a lot of, and you saw that if you watched, there were a lot of 2 players or second team or reserves or however you want to phrase that. Somebody called in that, who was it? Doug McIntyre in one of Mauricio Pochettino's press conferences talked about the second group of the reserves, and Pochettino went, "Who are the reserves? Who are these?" They're all part of the team. So I'm very careful saying reserves these days. But anyway, it was 11 changes of players who will not start in 2026. And then game 3, pushing the envelope a little bit with the who you think will be starting against LA Galaxy and pushing some of those players to 90 minutes. So that was the rhythm. So I think they got out of preseason what they wanted, although 1 goal in the run of play through 3 matches is, whether you want to look at that as a concern, I think it's somewhat of a concern. I really do. There's no number 9 right now that they can really rely on. Seymour Reed is not ready. He's better, but he's not ready to lead the front line on a full-time basis. And then I'm sure you're going to bring it up, Tylus Magno. Nico Fernandez Mercado is not a striker, but he's doing what he can and doing it pretty well. He scored the lone goal in the run of play, and then Seymour had a PK goal.
Jens?
Sorry, on the Coachella Valley?
Yeah.
I think I share my concern with Glenn. One goal through the run of play is definitely concerning, especially considering. Well, I mean, it's not the least bit surprising considering the team doesn't have an out-and-out 9 or someone who can at least play a traditional 9. We've seen what Nico Fernandez can bring as a false 9 type of player in the playoff game against Philly last year, which did lead to an assist on a very beautiful Maxi Morales goal. That said, I'm trying not to overreact because it is preseason. I remember there was one season, I can't recall, I think it was 2018 because I believe it was Anton Tinnerholm's first season with the club. I remember during the preseason, we faced the second division Mexican club and didn't look very good. So I'm trying, and that season we did have a respectable season. That was the year that was Patrick Vieira's last half season. I believe he parted ways halfway through, and Dome came in. So
a preseason record. Matty Lawrence, my broadcast partner, who played over 600 pro games in England. I asked him about this, years ago about, is it important to win in preseason to get you off to a good start in the regular season? And he said there were years where he played. 1 year he played with Millwall. They were awful in the preseason, and they ended up getting promoted, based on their performance in the regular year. So the results are really not that critical. I thought Christian, I thought the only year that I can remember where I thought the results might be important is coming off the 23 season when they failed to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then 2024 Coachella. And they didn't get results. I think there might have been 2 ties and a loss or something like that, but maybe a little bit better feel for how they were playing. And, then 2024 went okay. So that's what I would say about the results in preseason. It's more about getting your players fit. I will say this, without the number 9 that they would truly desire, and we all know that one that they wanted fell through for whatever the reasons. There's, each side has a different story, so I'm not going to get into that because I don't know. But until they get the number 9 they seek, and I'm sure that they're now looking at, or maybe even in current discussions, they're going to get maybe half the chances in a game that they would normally get if Alonso Martinez was there. Mm-hmm. So here's what the deal is then, is you have to have a better conversion rate. So the concern is this: until a 9 comes in, or until somebody takes that over, which would be, from the current squad, would be somewhat of a surprise. And unless you're, again, looking at Tyler's Magno as the answer, and I don't think they truly are, then you have to convert your chances, and it has to be at a high percentage rate. And if you don't, there could be some struggles with results. There really could.
Dobby, you have anything?
I agree. But however, the one game that Tyler Magno did play in at Austin, he looked pretty good from the small clippets that we were able to see from the team's social media posts. So I think that kind of gives me a little bit of hope and a little bit of something to look forward to, I guess, towards the season. And I think Talis, with the experiences that he had leaving New York City on loan to go back to Brazil, he wasn't performing that well. So hopefully, as Todd Donovan said at the start of the year, it's a brand new sporting director, it's a brand new head coach. He's never worked with both of them before. Brand new faces. It's essentially a clean slate for him. So who knows? Maybe this time Talis Magno his tail's behind or in between his legs, and maybe he's actually looking to improve and take his game to the next level. And just the small clippets, he was involved in both the goals, and those passes were really nice. And unfortunately, we don't have a number 9, but you really don't want to put Seymour Reed in a position to kind of put all the pressure on him, and he's only 18 years old. So it could ruin his career and ruin his confidence early on.
He's not ready. And I would encourage, look, I had this interview with Pascal, a long sit-down. It's the first time I've really had a long, kind of a long-form interview with him, and learned a lot about him, his academy coaching at PSV and on from there. So it's a really thorough interview, which eventually I'll put up on the podcast, but right now it's going to air on SiriusXM FC, and if you're a subscriber, it's on the app. But I would encourage people to go to my social media, and there's a 3.5-minute clip where Pascal is talking about Tylis. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I think it gives you some insight as to how effective Pascal is with individual players, because he really, the way he put it was just, we're not just going to have Tylis here, to fill space. Mm-hmm. He's got to offer us something. I think the way Pascal said it, he has to add something. And then when he asked him what he could add, Tylis paused for a second and said, "I could be your number 9." So Tylis believes that, and he's seen the team play. He knows what they need. So he believes that he can fill the gap either until somebody arrives, or take it over permanently, but he's not a classic 9. He's not going to score 16 goals, guys. It's not going to happen. It will not happen. And he can set up other players, but now we're back to they need to convert. So either way, there has to be a higher conversion rate of the players who were around Alonso Martinez last year. Hannes Wolf had 11 goals, but 4 games, he scored 8 of those goals. He had 4 braces. Yeah. So there's got to be more consistency if he's the guy. Agustin Ojeda didn't score a goal last year. Maxi Morales is not a goal scorer. He could set some things up, and he'll score 1, 2, or 3 goals. And then you've got Fernandez Mercado, who can do his most damage as a 10. Okay, put him as an inverted winger if Tyler is in at the striker. But he's not a double-digit goal scorer either. I'm telling you. So this is where it becomes interesting. So if you could share if everybody could convert, and share all these goals, then okay.
I personally, I think it's going to come down to defensive midfield and how good they can kind of neutralize other teams. And who knows, maybe early on in the season, because everyone's getting back to, the swing of things and everyone's trying to get back to match fitness. Maybe we could squeak out a 2-1 or a 1-0 win early on in the season. So it's going to fall on Matt Freese, his back four, and the 2 6s if we decide to go with that in midfield. I like this team outside of the offense right now, outside of the striker position. I think it's very well rounded. It's very unfortunate that the Musasilla deal fell through. They have the reasons on why they didn't want to go through with that transfer, but from what I'm hearing, supposedly they're looking at Wallace Yan from Brazil, a 21-year-old striker, plays for Flamengo, but the deal would take $20 million to at least get to the talking stage, and that's more than double of the record fee for this club. So we're not just the only team interested. It's also Atlanta United and some other Premier League teams that are also monitoring the situation. But he wouldn't come in until after the World Cup.
Do you feel in regards to Talles is an easy question. His first round, obviously, feeding Tati Castellanos, he was leading or was tied with assists. I think with Thiago Amado, I think from Atlanta at the time. Do you think this is going to be a different Talles than last year? Or I'm sorry, last time around.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's grown. I mean, he's grown as a player. I'm certain, unless he completely became stale at Corinthians. And look, I saw mostly highlights, but a couple of matches. And when he first got there was some promising progress. But he's got, I would say, and he has said, and Pascal has said that experience at Corinthians has aided his progress as a player. And I think so, Davi. Whether this, I don't have that sort of information as to this striker that's from Brazil and what the chances are, and but beyond that, I'm really convinced, and I think I've watched enough of the game and this league and the coaches that coach in this league that New York City supporters have one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the league. And I think he really knows how to put the players in positions that will give them the best opportunity to get maximum points, whether it's home or away, and that road thing. And Christian, I think you were talking about the Fernandez Mercado playing the striker at Philadelphia and getting through I think the end of the season, the way, and that's where he was most proud, where the injuries to Martinez and Pereira, and how the team adjusted and made it happen in the playoffs. But I think to do that over the course of a long regular season, Kevin O'Toole in the midfield, where, it adds to his versatility. But it's and that's because of the departure of Justin Haak and maybe an injury to Aiden O'Neill at the time, and Kai Trewin was just getting in. But we remember O'Toole in the midfield down the stretch too. So you can I don't think you can patch it like that and get the kind of productivity and points that you want during the course of the year. So, but Pascal's the guy, and the players believe in him. They believe in what they're doing. They adjust during games, which I've seen few teams do at New York City FC. Dome Toron's team used to do it, and this team does it. And I'm talking about in-game adjustments without, making substitutions where the players make the adjustments. That's what always impresses me.
Yeah, I want to add to that point. It's like the players, and with Pascal Jansen, he really knows how to get the best out of every single player. It may not always happen, but we've seen improvement in the team and how they play, and some players that that weren't performing at their best with a previous manager here, or maybe they found another role. I mean, Kevin O'Toole is a good example for the suspended Aiden O'Neill for that game at Philly in the postseason. I think when you look at when the players look at the coach at the sideline, we're gonna have the advantage most of the time. I genuinely believe we have a very good head coach, and we have possibly one of the best head coaches in the league. And in my humble opinion, I think it would have been Coach of the Year if it wasn't for some historic years outside of the league or in the league. But head coaching wise, you're going to have the advantage for, I'd say, a good handful of the times that you're going to face other opponents.
Yeah, and he's got a good staff too. Mehdi Belushi is very highly regarded in the league. Leon Hapgood is kind of the lesser known figure, but he does a lot of the work with the younger players in particular with their individual development programs. And that's really important for an Agustino Heda. He really, if you thought Julian Fernandez was starting to grow, and he was, Leon Hapgood did a lot of work with him. So, those are, some of the things behind the scenes. And then you've got this great goalkeeper coach, Rob Vartugian, who also sets up the set pieces. By the way, I can't believe how many views I got on this post, but corner kick defending. Did you guys see what New York City did against San Jose? Did you happen to I don't either? Well, unfortunately, the director of the broadcast out at Coachella, so I was on the broadcast, I was on the call, and I was talking about it. I was just hoping that they would pan the camera to the middle of the field, because New York City took 4 or 5 players on the defensive corner. They're defending the corner, 4 or 5 players, and brought them up to midfield near the center circle. And it forced San Jose. Well, San Jose could have left everybody there, but they brought enough players to go man to man if it was 4 versus 4 or 5 versus 5, leaving fewer of their attackers in the area. I thought it was pretty intriguing. It's not that it's never been done, but it's rarely done. And now it gives the Galaxy something to think about on the weekend, right? I mean, maybe they'll do something like this. But,
I'm actually glad you brought.
That's Robert Tugian. I'm looking forward to asking him about where he. I guess I hear that some teams are doing it against Arsenal to try to prevent their set piece effectiveness on corners. And I want to say publicly that years ago, a college coach friend of mine at Purdue University named Rob Clottey, he did that. He took 3 players and he put them up near midfield. And now, so it's risky, but now what does the other team do? And it really kind of disrupts the opponent sometimes.
I'm glad Glenn mentioned the set piece thing, because I did notice that, and I did see the clip of him sharing it on social media. And I'm actually really a fan of it, because one of the more intriguing things that I find about this preseason is, I mean, obviously, I've always been a Tallis Magno apologist, for lack of a better term. I think he has a ton of talent, and I think with the right setup, he could be unleashed and become a force in this league, top 10, if not top 5 player. He has that ability. It's kind of in between the ears with him. That said, one of the more intriguing aspects to this team this year is the return of Keaton Parks, who on his day is as good as any midfielders you're going to see in MLS. And he brings not just a good tempo in the midfield, not just a great football IQ, very, very good at line-breaking passes. He's also a threat in the air because he's 6'3". And I feel like when you have guys like Thiago Martins, Raul Gustavo, Kai Trewin now, and Keaton Parks, and maybe even a Tavon Gray to a point, I think you can commit 4 or 5 guys up the pitch and then challenge the other team to win that first phase of play, to win that first ball. Because there's definitely going to be times where maybe we try it in season and teams are going to try to get cute and maybe commit two extra guys into the box, like one more so that we can mark. The thing is, if the delivery isn't inch perfect and we win that first ball, there's some guys on this team who I think could be very, very dangerous in the counter. And that includes Augustine Ojeda.
Too bad, it's Ojeda. Too bad Alonso Martinez isn't around, because that's the one you'd want to launch it to.
Yeah, I would love to see how Alonso factors into that. Hopefully one day, because ACL injuries are no joke, and I've seen them end careers in front of my eyes before. And it's a shame. And I agree with you, Glenn. I think this first month or two, especially if NYCFC isn't able to find a true striker, or at least a striker-like profile with haste, I definitely think it's going to be a grind and a bit of a slog. But that said, I also think this team as a whole, maybe not at the striker position because you have a big Alonso Martinez-sized hole at the 9 position. That said, I think everywhere else, I think this is a much more complete football club than we were last year at this point in the season. Because we didn't have Aiden O'Neill yet. We didn't have a player. We didn't have a guy of Tallis Magno's, what he can bring to the game, in our stead. Because I love Julian Fernandez. I think he's a very, very top player. For some reason, I just think he kind of stalled out here, and I think his development stagnated a little bit, and spending a year and a half on the bench definitely didn't help his case. I definitely think that we saw a new level to Ojeda last year, rather.
What do you see different in this case, Glenn?
Pardon?
What do you see different in this case, if anything?
Different in this case?
Yeah. I mean, basically, you had a full off season with people like Aiden. This is the 3rd season now with, say, Hannes Wolf, things like that. I mean, first of all, they're so far ahead of last year, Christian, because they've had a year with Pascal Jansen. I mean, he comes into preseason and he's trying to figure it out himself. When I got to Coachella last year, I mean, he hadn't been in preseason for that long. It took him a while to get into the program. So it's just they're so far ahead. So now you have the leadership. Any players that are coming on board, you have the leadership of the team who can guide the Pascal way. But Keaton Parks is a really important player to point out, because let's face it, he's like a new recruit. When Andres Pereira recovers and comes on the field, that'll be another addition to the program, And then Alonso, he'll be probably after that, and then that's another addition to the program. So those are going to come later on. Andres Pereira, I really don't have a feel for when he'll be back, nor do I have any sort of feel for Malachi Jones. Yeah.
The club is very, they're just, they're not concerned with us knowing when those two will be back. So I'm not going to make many more queries on it, because it's just, it'll happen when it happens. And when it gets a little closer, then maybe we'll start talking about it. Yeah, go ahead, Christian. Sorry.
I would like to ask you a question, though, about that. What role? Because, I mean, last year, another person that we saw the emergence of was Johnny Shore, who was a young player and was 17 when he first took the pitch. What do you see from the young players in this camp right now, Glenn? Because you've spent time with them, you got to see them with your own eyes. Like, what do you make of like a player like Kevin Baera or Drew Baera? Sorry, I'm thinking of Kevin O'Toole and Drew at the same time. Drew Baera, or even a Maxim.
Well, there's a Kevin Pierre now. He got a few minutes. He's the draft choice out of Georgia Southern.
Or Maximo Carrizo.
And I'll tell you what, shame on me. I have to tell you, I was doing so much at Coachella with SiriusXM. I did 24 interviews, and then the 3 New York City commentaries and another commentary. So here I am making an excuse. I never asked about Johnny Shore. I saw him and said hello to him, but he didn't play at all. So he must be suffering from something. But he was there, and he didn't look like he was severely injured. So I don't know, because Johnny Shore made a name for himself at Coachella last year and had to start the season remember, he played a lot of minutes. He debuted in the opener against Miami and then started the next match. He played a lot of minutes because Andres Pereira was injured at the beginning of last year. So I'm not sure where Johnny Shore is. Drew Baera, Pascal likes him a lot and will not be reluctant to use him as a reserve fullback on either side. So we'll see how that goes. But right now he's the strict backup to Tavon Gray, but we also saw him play on the left side.
So what is he? He's RB2, potentially LB3, possibly.
Yeah. That's about right. And so that versatility is good. So the departure of Micha Ilinic, I think, was less painful because Pascal was really high on Drew Baera, a homegrown. So that's very good. But Pascal was also massively disappointed that the club couldn't figure out Justin Haak. And now the entrance of Kai Trewin. And if you watch Kai Trewin play, and he played a half hour in the second game, that was the one where all the young players were playing, but he came in for the last half hour just to get started. And then he started and played the first half in the finale at Coachella against San Jose. And he looked pretty good. But the thing I really noted was that he started at the back and he was getting himself into that midfield tier, just like Justin Haak was. So the goal was to try to get a like for Justin Haak in the transfer market. And, it's going to take some time, but he looked pretty solid, I thought. And he's 2-footed. I like that about him. And how is he in the air? That remains to be seen. So, we just haven't seen enough of him, but that's another one to watch closely. And will he start against the Galaxy on Sunday? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
I think this is a good point to pivot over and get your thoughts there as well. With the departure of Justin Haak, who ironically will be playing against NYCFC in a few days.
And he'll start in that game. Haak will start. Greg Vanney, not sure if he's going to start him at the back or in the midfield, but he'll be in the 11.
But I mean, if the Galaxy want, they essentially got a new center back pairing in free agency this year. In Glasses and Justin Haak.
Yeah, and here's one thing. I sat with Vanney for one of my interviews for SiriusXM, and I told him, I said, you got a boy from Brooklyn and a boy that played in Philadelphia, and he smiled and he goes, yeah, we really needed that. They needed the mentality. So don't be shocked if it's those two at the back at the start for the Galaxy. But also, they have other options too.
Sorry, I cut you off. I was going to say what also helps here as well if you're a Galaxy fan is Justin Haak has the knowledge and the nuance of everybody he's playing against now. For having played alongside NYCFC for as many years as he did, he understands certain non sequiturs that all these players have that will probably be beneficial to the Galaxy on Sunday. So let me ask this question. MLS Soccer came out with the report, has NYCFC as 12th overall in the power rankings. First of all,
I don't care.
Okay, I was going to say, do you agree with that at all?
I don't do any prognosticating. It's ridiculous. It's an absolute. But I understand the practice of it. I understand the exercise. I don't even look at it. But go ahead. I want to hear it. Go ahead.
Right. That's a great answer, Glenn. That's a great answer.
It is a good answer. But it was one of those things that I threw it up on Twitter and get the response. Some people agree with it. Some people don't.
I get it. I understand. People like it, but I don't cater to it. But go ahead.
No, I was going to say, in this case, keep it simple. What do you think about this team this season? Obviously, there's a lot of changes going on, some questions, some concerns on both sides. What are you expecting for not just the entire season, but I'm going to say the first 10 games where you really start to set a tone for the season?
Yeah, the early part of the season is going to be a challenge for a couple of reasons. Justin Haak, arguably MVP of the team. I mean, you could put him in the, as a candidate for team MVP last year. That's how good he was. Okay. So he's gone. So if his replacement is Kai Trewin, he's barely here. I ran into Aiden O'Neill early on at Coachella. I think it was the first or second day. And I said, is Trewin in? He goes, yeah, he's here. I'm sitting with him. But he said he's knackered because he had just gotten in. So he hasn't had much time to acclimate to the weather. I'll never forget Aiden O'Neill. Now the weather's fine, but out there it was hot. So he was dragging a little bit. Maybe he'll be thankful that he's coming back to New York City in 30 degrees because they're not used to the heat like this. But I just remember Aiden O'Neill talking about the summer last year when he came in. He goes, "Oh my gosh!" I said, "Yeah, this is what you get." But he needs time to acclimate to the whole system and his teammates. So that if he is the like for like replacement, let's consider that, it's going to take some time. So you've lost Haak, you've got Trewin, so that's one thing to adjust to. Raul Gustavo, left central defender or left back. That's where we've seen him in both places. At left back, I don't particularly think he's a very good 1v1 defender in that position. Mm-hmm. So he's still got more time to figure that out if that's where he's ever going to be. And at left central defense, let's put it this way. Haak beat first Burke Risa out as a left central defender, and Burke Risa was a natural left center back being paid a lot of money, and he beat out Raul Gustavo at left central defense. Gustavo came in on big money. So this is what I'm saying is Haak is a big loss, and I'm interested to see how all that goes with him out of the lineup and either Gustavo or Trewin taking a bulk of that time in that position. All right. Andres Pereira's absence is huge. Along with Aiden O'Neill, that was one of the better midfielders in MLS at that time, at that stage of the season, as they were leading into the playoffs before Pereira got injured in Charlotte. Those two together were dynamite. I mean, that was awesome. So now that's absent, right? So who goes into Andres Pereira's place? Is it Keaton Parks? Is he up to it to play that much soccer early on? We don't know yet. Is it Kevin O'Toole's going to go into the midfield, which then puts Raul Gustavo at left back and Kai Trewin at left central defense? So you see where my questions are. And then we're going to go up top back to the question of how many chances are going to be created each game. And if it is fewer because you don't have the number 9 you really want, then you've got to convert. Will that conversion rate be high enough? Will the goal concessions be few enough, right? So that you have both those working together to have a good start to the season over the first 10 games. I think it's going to be a challenge, but I trust in Pascal Jansen. And I think, as Davi said earlier, it's not a bad team. Mm-hmm. It's a good team. And you got Matt Freese in goal. So look, start with him in goal, and that's a good thing, and he can help save the day on occasions, but you're going to have to convert at the other end with limited chances. Not limited, but fewer chances than if Alonso Martinez was in the line.
Just without that clinical player to put them into that.
Hey, don't forget, Alonso Martinez had 10 game-winning goals last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's inconceivable.
That's the most out of everybody. League leading 10.
Mm. Yeah.
Chris, you got anything?
Clutch. No, I hate to sound like a parrot. But I do.
And I'm not. By the way, I'm not. This is not pessimistic. This is me being a soccer coach most of my life, looking out and saying, this is what I see. But I'm on the inside every day. I don't see these guys train. Maybe Tyler Magno is filling up the back of the net in training as a 9. I don't know. But all I'm saying is that this is just my sense as someone who's coached the game and observed the game for a long time.
No. And I don't think they're being pessimistic either. There's a difference between being pessimistic and realistic. There is a difference there. And I think you're being realistic. That said, and again, I hate to sound like a parrot, I really trust this era. Like I really trust Pascal Jansen from a tactical standpoint and from a man management standpoint. He seems to be able to communicate with the players and really put forth what he wants NYCFC to look like. I enjoyed his work a ton last year. It was the most enjoyable NYCFC had been to watch in a long time, even when it wasn't the best, even when the result wasn't the best. I do think it starts with Matt. I love Thiago Martins at center back. I think he's very, very good. I love Tavon Gray at right back, who I think is, for my money, is one of the better 1v1 defenders in the league. I love having.
You're on there. He's the best 1v1 defender, I think. Now, but you're right. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
I wanted to amplify that.
Absolutely. Tavon Gray is special. I mean, we saw what he did with Wilfried Zaha in the playoffs. And in Wilfried Zaha, Zaha's no joke. He's played at some top clubs at a top level and scored plenty of goals. And Tavon Gray made him invisible.
Look what
I
he did.
think he's still in his pocket.
Go back to the first game at Coachella. All these games are up at YouTube. Watch what he did with Bowanga.
Mm.
Bowanga couldn't get past him.
He had to move the striker.
Bowanga couldn't get past him.
Yeah, he literally had to move into the middle of the pitch in order to find space to find a goal. And I love Keaton Parks being back. I think Nico Fernandez transformed this club last season.
Yeah.
If you look at the difference in results, forget the results. Just look at it from the eye test. Just look at how he played without him, and then look at how NYCFC played once he came into the fold. It was almost a different team, radically different, and probably one of the more dangerous in the league. I love Nico Fernandez. Maxi Morales, yes, he's 39, but in my opinion, his game doesn't rely on athleticism. He's kind of like a Luka Modric of MLS. He's the brain of the operation, and his brain doesn't seem to be fading. A 34 game starter last season, including all the playoffs. So he seems like he still has something to offer. I'm excited about Tallis being involved. I think Hannes Wolf can find another level. I think Augustino Ojeda can find another level. Raul Gustavo, I'm still waiting. Jury's still out. We haven't seen enough of Trewin yet. Hopefully, he's never going to be a like for like Justin Haak replacement. There's one Justin Haak, and if you're looking for him to be that like for like replacement and see the difference be marginal, you're going to be very, very disappointed because nobody's Justin Haak. Justin Haak is one of one in this league.
Justin Haak grew up in Brooklyn and in the West Village, and Kai Trewin grew up on this bay, a town of 15,000 in Australia. I'm not saying Kai Trewin isn't tough. I haven't seen him enough yet. I'm just saying he ain't Brooklyn tough, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, not at all.
It's similar in a lot of ways to when Micha came over, because he used to talk about playing, on a national level in front of 6,000 and being overwhelmed by this. Glenn, we'll let you go in a couple of minutes, but I wanted to give you a chance for any final thoughts you guys might have in this arena when it comes to, the season, the players, the future, and honestly, what you have on tap as well on a personal level, if you want to go into any of that. What do you have on, besides NYCFC?
Well, I got a book. Have you seen my book?
Let's talk about that, sir.
Well, I wrote a book. Incredible. And I've got 2 more to go. Now I'm going to have a volume 2 and a 3 because in essence, I'm resurrecting some of the interviews I've done, mostly from Sirius XM FC. Mm-hmm. I've had this show on for 11 years now called The Coaching Academy. And Pascal Jansen is on the most recent episode along with Phil Neville. I got both those interviews at Coachella. But this is every week it's coaches or experts in the game from all different aspects. It could be sports psychology, could be nutrition. But there's always stories. And I think
pearls of wisdom.
I look back at some of the transcripts. I go, man, there's so much good information here in my mind. And a bit selfishly, it was like all those interviews just go into the abyss, never to be heard from again. And so I've written a book, and there'll be 2 more volumes to help resurrect some of those interviews. It opens with Emma Hayes, the U.S. Women's National Team coach.
Just on a press conference with her. So
the second interview is with Mikey Varish, the highly successful San Diego FC coach. Then it's Rene Mollenstein, who sat next to Sir Alex for 7 years and constructed and instructed all the training sessions for Manchester United during some of their most successful seasons. And we've become friends, and he's in. So it's a series of I think some very cool interviews, and so it's called Put It on Frame. It's on Amazon.
There we go.
And
we'll put the link in the description too.
Pardon?
I'll put the link in the description too, by the way.
All right. Well, thank you.
Also, basically, in this case here, that gives a commonality between you and Keaton Parks, because Keaton also wrote a book that's on Amazon too.
Is it a kid's book?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's a kid's book about soccer.
The other thing I have in common with Keaton, we're both authors now.
Yes.
But we both share the same birthday.
Cool.
Maybe you didn't. Yeah.
What is
fun fact.
All right, there you go.
I'm pretty sick.
Yeah. So it's August 6th. So when it comes around, I've been trying to do like a Mutt and Jeff birthday, selfie, but it never quite works out because he's 6'3", I'm 5'4", and I don't know. I don't know if I could get him in the shot or not, but we'll see.
Hey, don't feel bad about your height. Wolverine was 5'3", okay? And look what he did. So you know what? You got an inch on Wolverine. There you go.
Hey, Maxie.
Hey, look at Maxie. Yeah,
Maxie's 5'3". By the way, Christian, he's not 39 yet. 10 days from now, he'll be 39. So
yes,
he's getting there.
10 days.
He's still a kid.
Yeah.
They say 39 is old. I mean, at this point, it's like, dude, no, it isn't.
I watched Max Morales play. I'm 33, and I don't know how he does it.
Really? He's a specimen, man. He is amazing.
Yeah, he's
amazing.
Love of the game.
Really special. Love him. For my money, the best player to ever wear an NYCFC shirt. The most important, at the very least.
No, if there's anybody that's reached legendary status for the club, it's Maxi Morales. Yeah. And the other thing, Scott, hopefully we remind everybody to listen to the games on the New York City FC radio network. And anytime you put on the Apple or Fox broadcast, you turn the sound down and you put us on. Whether you want to listen in English or in Spanish to Roberto Abramowitz, that would be something I would hope supporters would do. And these guys are all my friends on Apple. It's not about that. It's that we're around the club, man. And we've been there since the first kick. So I think we offer a lot of perspective, not just in the knowledge of the game, but also the knowledge of the club. So
Glenn, I'll tell you this. When you're walking around the stadium, as I was a couple times last season, they actually played your commentary over the PA, like when you're walking through the concourses or you go to the bathroom, they actually have your radio commentary.
All right. Commentary while you're in the bathroom. All right. This is good. You should give me some sort of indication, and maybe I could say hello to everybody while they're, relieving themselves.
I know Apple TV has gutted a lot of its staff this year, unfortunately, especially for Spanish-speaking viewers.
Yeah.
Will listening to the home radio feed still be a thing this year, or is that gone as well?
No, that's on. So if you're for our home games at Citi Field or Yankee Stadium, you can, and if you're instead at the game and you're watching it on Apple, there's a drop-down app where you can get the English hometown commentary. That's myself and Maddie. So yeah, that's still in effect. So you will have that available. Only home games. So the road games, you have to do some syncing.
Yes.
You got to sync up.
There's been an increased complaint of late amongst fans across all the sports about the fact that there is the lack of local broadcasting, where you have not just soccer, but the NFL, all these things, and it loses that home field magic. When you have someone that's just sitting in a soundstage somewhere 1,000 miles away, it doesn't have that same vibe, that same energy as somebody who, like you said, knows the sport and knows the team as well as you do. And maybe to a slight degree has a little bit of homerism involved. I think you want that for your own team.
Well, I will say, Maddie and we're probably not the homers that you might want.
No Hawk Harrelson, Chicago White Sox here.
But I'm sure we want New York City to win every game. There's no question about that. But if there's something that and Matty Lawrence in particular, he's played a lot of pro games, so he's the thing about listening to us, and I'd like to make it more about Maddie than me, in that Maddie is like the best analyst or one of the best in MLS in our country. The fact that Apple hasn't hired him is, I think, unfortunate for them, but fortunate for me that I get to keep him. And that's what you're missing, a guy who he's played so much, but he knows how to articulate. He sees things that happen that I don't see, and I've coached the game forever, it seems. So I think between the both of us, there's a lot of knowledge that gets filtered into these broadcasts. And, I really think if you and again, the guys on Apple and women most of them are my friends. I know them. Some of them I've had on my show on series. So it's nothing about that, but it's about the knowledge and the knowledge of the club that I don't think you can match.
I think we lost that with the Apple deal in 2023, where you used to have Joe Tolleson and Ian Joy call the team almost every week, and now that and ever since the Apple deal came in, that they kind of just that was it. That was like
that was it, and that's what you're right. And people miss Joe and Ian, and I understand that. And I almost wish the club would make it more public that you could still have hometown commentary. You just have to, you have to find it, and it's easily available. And so, we are there to fill that void. We were there before as well. Some people chose us over Ian and Joe, or they couldn't watch the game, which, I had people write to me that said, they didn't have cable at the time. So if it was in a road game, couldn't watch the game, so they listened to us. So there's value to this, and I'm just a huge fan of the radio. I always have been since a little kid. So I appreciate guys letting me talk about the book and about radio, because there's nothing like radio, man. Nothing like it.
I'll get you on to talk radio on some of my other channels. So, put some DJs and stuff. We'll talk a little bit, a little 70s, 80s music. What do you say? Anyway, Glenn, appreciate the time. One last question. How can people find you on social media?
Oh boy. I'm on X. I think it's just at Glenn Crooks. I'm on Blue Sky, one of those long Blue Sky, tags. So just type my name and it'll pop up. LinkedIn, I put a lot of things up there. I like LinkedIn, and I think anybody that has even the inkling of a professional profile, or they're a student and they're going to be looking for work, LinkedIn is it's a must. And it's also, to this day, I've never seen anything political on LinkedIn. And there's a lot. I'm telling you, there is a ton of good soccer information on LinkedIn. So I put a lot on there. I'm getting better on Instagram. So sorry, I try, and I'm getting better at that. I am on TikTok. Now, I haven't done any dancing. I haven't done anything, I haven't disrobed, nothing like that.
No OnlyFans either, for that matter.
I just put my soccer stuff up there, and it's getting, sometimes it gets a lot of, so I'm getting more traction there. And I did that mostly because the publisher of my book said, you got to get on TikTok.
Yeah.
Said, all right, whatever. And so those are my deals. So yeah, come in and follow me and put your opinions down. Some of the stuff I put up gets a lot of chit chat, and I really like that. I especially like this new corner defending that New York City exposed. I'll be anxious to see if they try it at any point during the regular year. We'll see. I would suspect they'll pull it out at some point.
If you were a betting man, Glenn, do they try that set piece tactic against the Galaxy?
I say no, because I think they've forced the Galaxy to think about it and train it, and then not using it would be like, the Galaxy would be like, and I think it just adds another element. But after that, they might throw it out there.
But when they don't, when the team doesn't expect it.
Yeah, I think you have to be coy with that sort of thing. Somebody wrote, I put it out there, and it has over 30,000 views. I don't know what it's up to now, but it's somebody wrote back, and there were a lot of comments, and somebody wrote, they should have saved that for the regular year and surprised somebody. But I take that other tact. It's like it gives the Galaxy something else they have to think about on corners. So
sure.
Now they have to get a few corners. That's the next step.
But
yeah.
All right. Davi, any final thoughts?
No, just a little bit frustrating that the Musasila deal didn't go through, and back to square one essentially without a striker. And we've been in this position more often than not since the championship year and Castellanos' departure. So I don't know. To me, as a fan and as an outsider from everything, whether to be front office or just training and stuff like that, it's very frustrating from a fan's point of view. And we definitely want somebody that's been around the block, or somebody that's a natural striker that could put the ball into the back of the net. But I don't know, man. I just feel like Pascal's just been unlucky with having, not a complete roster, even though he said he had one at the start of last year. And then this year, everything was going right to plan. And then, you unfortunately during the playoff international break, Alonso gets hurt on international duty with the team that was had pretty low chances of qualifying.
Well, worse than that. Worse than that is where they played the match in Curacao on artificial turf, and I've been on that turf. I was actually with St. Lucia when they played Curacao in Nations League. Just a great friend of mine is the assistant coach, and my knees hurt from walking to the center on a training session, walking to the center circle and back to the bench area. I mean, it was concrete. It was like the old artificial surface where you lay down the turf and then it's like concrete.
And you weren't wearing anything like any footwear that's like specialized for that. It was just like your regular old shoes that you walk around in, right? Yeah.
So it was unfortunate. And Andres Pereira, by the way, injured himself on artificial surface at Charlotte. If you talk to people that are on the inside with the New York City Football Club, those that have been involved in the game for a very long time, they firmly believe that the artificial surface was at least partially responsible, if not fully, for both those injuries. That's regrettable. We've got to get artificial surfaces out of our game in MLS. If they continue to propose that they want to be a top 5 league in the world, as long as there's an artificial surface that professional soccer players are playing on, if I'm looking at it from Europe, I'm like, what is that? Watching a game in Seattle, I'd be like, what the hell is that? Really? I mean, what the hell is that?
Not only that, you also see like Seahawks logos all over the field and like the hash marks and everything.
The field is crap for soccer. The field is terrible for soccer.
Yeah.
Seattle, it has nothing to do with anything about the Sounders that have been one of the landmark franchises. It's about the surface of if you watch a game, it's to me, it's tough to watch at times because that surface is so poor. But I've been on that bandwagon for years. The game is meant to be played on grass, natural surfaces at the highest levels. We recognize youth soccer, you need turf because you need artificial surfaces because of all the kids playing soccer now. I mean, it's the only way you can get by in order to make it happen. So I understand that.
I mean, especially in like
the level, top tier, no.
I mean, especially in like northern states where, the winter could be brutal and you don't want to have to shovel and you have muddy pitches all over the place. So
I've always been of the opinion. Listen. You can say what you want about Yankee Stadium. Is it a perfect venue? Is it an ideal venue? Absolutely not. How many serious injuries have we had on that pitch? I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Maybe 1, 2, but
you had. But this was nothing to do with the turf. You had the Malik Jones. But that had nothing to do with the surface.
Yeah. When I say that, I mean more so like where someone's studs get stuck and then their legs move in the opposite direction. Like,
I remember one injury, but it was not. It was not long term. It didn't even keep him out of game. But Alex Ring on the turf that was laid down slipped and sprained his ankle. He was so pissed after the game. He was just like he was beside himself that that the surface made him. Roll his ankle. But outside of that, I can't remember either. I'm with you. I haven't.
I remember somebody said something about what was the there was a Red Bulls player whose name escapes me.
Luquinhas.
No, it wasn't Luquinhas. It was the Austrian one.
Royer.
Daniel
Royer. Yeah. Yes. I remember I think like twisted his ankle once, but Red Bull fans pointed to that. I'm like, did he miss a game? I don't remember. I think the answer was no. Like we've never had any kind of injury as a result of the surface and somebody's stud coming down and then their leg moving in a different direction. It's never happened at Yankee Stadium, and it's probably not going to happen knock on wood. It's probably not going to happen very often at Etihad Park because Etihad Park is a grass surface. I'm pretty sure, right?
How about Miles Robinson and Brad Guzan? Achilles injuries, which are
in a World Cup year.
And guess what? Artificial surface. It's, I think we can understand why it's in play right now. I don't want to hear about top 5 league in the world if you're not playing on grass. I don't want to hear about it. That's my personal assessment. MLS has come a long way. I favor a lot of things that have happened. I'm so privileged to be working with the league and with the club. So it has nothing to do with that. I look at everything through a sporting lens. This is what I'm not a businessman. I'm not. You know, I look at it through a sporting lens. I'm a coach. I look at things as a coach. I do not want my talisman, my striker, the guy who can lead us to MLS Cup, to have his season ended and then more than half of the season lost following year because of an ACL tear on international duty in the waning minutes of the game because of the surface. Sorry. And that's not MLS's fault, by the way. I should make sure I'm clear that happened at Curacao. But it's that kind of thing.
That falls on CONCACAF for allowing them to play on that pitch.
And didn't they deem that that surface unplayable before that match had even kicked off? Weren't there concerns circulated in the press before that?
There were concerns. I was circulating it. Maybe I put bad vibes out there. I couldn't believe they were playing on that field for a World Cup qualifier. But we've seen World Cup qualifiers play in a lot of parts of Central America that are awful. So
I've got two things to say on top of that. One, once the schedule's changed, I think they should look to mandate grass fields or something like that. And
the thing is, they can't because a lot of stadiums share their teams share their stadiums with NFL teams who just won't refuse to change it.
That's true, but I mean these guys make a shitload of money that don't they can't do what Real Madrid is doing or the new stadiums where they put the grass under that. It's come on, you guys make a stupid amount of money.
Arthur Blank talked about doing that at one point with Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I don't know what happened with that, where you slide in the grass and then slide it back out. It has a lot to do with where it's built, though. If there's not enough room, to pull that thing out and to dig it underground like Real Madrid, I mean, you're talking about a lot of money. I mean, these guys are wealthy, but I don't know how much that project was. Look, it's Seattle's never. I shouldn't say never, but Seattle's not going. There's never been talk about Seattle building another stadium because they draw.
Quite frankly, they don't
draw
need to.
40,000 people, so
they don't need to. Quite frankly,
no. But they will lose money if they do it. That's the thing. It's all about the bottom line, And who else? And Atlanta United is going to play a Mercedes. So until Arthur Blank spends the money to get, wheeled grass in and out, they're going to play on artificial surfaces. It's a rough proposition, man.
Yeah. And and something above all of our pay grades, I think. Glenn, I appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
You're welcome, guys.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing.
Get me going on artificial turf, man.
Actually, before you leave, I want to say one more thing. I'd much rather play on that flooded surface that the U.S. was worried about before Trinidad than whatever the bullshit they had to play in Curacao.
Yeah. Also, Glenn, I've always been
would you carry Alonso Martinez over the puddles of water, to make sure he didn't get his feet wet?
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, why not?
All right. Good.
Also, Glenn, it was a pleasure to see you again. I've always admired your work. I've from day one, and being able to call you a peer for those years when I was with Hudson River Blue was nothing short of a privilege. It's so nice to see you again, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you. Nice of you to say, and thanks for having me, Scott.
My privilege. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, too. Yankee Stadium, March 7th. All right?
Yes, sir.
Folks, appreciate the time. Anyway, I'm Scott Schertzen alongside Christian Smith, Mr. Davi, and of course, radio voice for the New York City Football Club, Mr. Glenn Crooks. Thanks as always. Take care and stay awesome.